Good evening and welcome to a Bitcoin all-time high live special. Tonight we are testing 112k Bitcoin after the April the 7th low. We are up huge and we're going to talk about it tonight. We're going to talk about altcoins and why they're still lagging behind, and we're going to look at some real value in the market, where some altcoins look like amazing buys, and what's coming over the next few weeks. Bitcoin currently testing 112k. It's now up over 49%, almost 50% since April the 7th lows, which was caused by Donald Trump and the tariff war. Ultimately just noise to try and shake people out of their bags. What's most interesting about this rally in Bitcoin is we are seeing a massive global meltdown in the bond markets as government debt takes over the entire narrative around markets. Everybody's focused on yields, everybody's focused on bonds, and at the same time Bitcoin just keeps going higher and higher every single day. And I said it a few weeks ago, this is now a dip buying market, and we've saw it for a few weeks now. We get a bit of a sell-off for a couple of days and immediately bounce. We've saw it over the past few days as well. Every time we get this wick low, it just gets bought straight back up. And there is huge buying pressure on the Bitcoin price chart right now, and I think it goes much, much higher. We've had this green box up around the 115k price area for ages. We knew it was going to hit. It was just a matter of being patient, and finally we are in that box. I do think we get to 115k in the next few days, maybe over the weekend, if not tomorrow or Saturday, because I think this is just going to continue. I think Bitcoin looks so powerful, it looks so strong. Anyone short in the market right now is about to get smoked if they've not already been smoked, and I think profit taking probably is a bit early. I think people want a lot higher, especially given that Bitcoin's price rally hasn't been caused by the Fed cutting rates. It's not been caused by real QE from the Fed, and Trump's policies are only being voted on right now, which is going to propel Bitcoin even higher. So for me, this is huge, and it's a huge move. Good to see so many people tuning in. Make sure you like the stream. We've got loads of content dropping on YouTube, so make sure you're subscribed as well so you get a notification when we drop those videos. We've been doing loads of videos recently, and they're going to come thick and fast as we move into probably the most explosive part of the bull run over the coming months. I do think we'll have a massive end of the year, so yeah, make sure you're subscribed. Let's look through some altcoins, because I'm guessing most of our audience holds a big bag of alts. If we look at Ethereum, there's actually a few altcoins that are in a very similar price area right now. You can see Ethereum got rejected off the 200 MA about a week ago. We're back there now. I do think we might go into some sideways consolidation if we don't break through this tomorrow. But that's perfectly healthy, and when we see these big explosive moves, expect a bit of cooling off from time to time as well. Ethereum really got hammered over the last few months since December, down from this kind of $4,100 level, down 66% at its lowest. We're now back up around nearly 100% from the lows, but we're still way off the highs. And if you zoom out on the weekly chart, you can see Ethereum's got a long way to go to break to new all-time highs above the 4,800 level. I do think once we get through some of these key areas, we will see some faster moves for Ethereum. I think if we can kind of clear the $2,800 level just around here, we will see a bit more pace in the Ethereum move. And once we get above $3,000, I think it's pretty much clear air up to 4,100 where this green box sits, which has been a resistance a couple of times this cycle. From then, we're pretty much going to all-time highs once we break that, but I think that will take a few weeks. I don't think we're going to get there necessarily that quickly. I think Bitcoin's still on the show right now, and we can see that in Bitcoin dominance, which we'll cover in a second. XRP is still pretty much lagging behind, just like most of the altcoins. This Wyckoff's pretty much played out perfectly. We're now just consolidating before we go into the explosive side of Wyckoff accumulation. I think that will come maybe next week, especially if we get some news about the stablecoin bill, Ripple acquiring USDC, and of course the SEC is still working on ending the lawsuit against XRP once and for all. Cardano, similar to Ethereum, back at the 200 MA. Solana back at the 200 MA. So there is quite I think Litecoin as well. Litecoin back at the 200 MA. So we are kind of a key resistance area. I don't think it'll take us too long to break through, especially because most of these alts have already tested that level before. So this is the second test. I do think we'll probably get through it in the next few days. And I've been saying to people that have been asking recently, normally we see Bitcoin profits rotate into Ethereum and then into altcoins from there. I think this cycle will probably see Solana, Ethereum, XRP probably be the ones that Bitcoin profits rotate into, and then from there we see the rotation out. I think we'll have a bigger group of the top alts that soak up a lot of the profits, and then we see the smaller altcoins rally after that. Solana was the leader in the last kind of major pump at the end of last year, and I think it will do the same this time. You can see I've got this kind of head and shoulders pattern marked on the screen, and the target is up here about 205 to 210. I think that would be quite a nice move, and then from there we're back to all-time high. All-time high for Solana, I think, is what's the trigger for some of the small altcoins. I think once we get Solana into price discovery, it's going to be absolute carnage in the altcoin market. Look at Bitcoin dominance. I put a post in CC Pro today just showing that we are now putting in that kind of lower high, which is obviously bearish, and that's what we want. We want Bitcoin dominance to fall. On the daily, it kind of got bought back up, and I think this is just pure capital chasing the Bitcoin FOMO, trying to buy into Bitcoin, realizing that Bitcoin is that safe haven asset. And what's quite funny is it seems like crypto Twitter, retail, kind of the degens of investing all bought the dip in April. And it seems like Wall Street, hedge funds, they're all the ones that are now FOMO buying. And it's crazy how the market seems to have flipped. And actually, what Bitcoiners and crypto people understand is that no matter what happens, the Fed will eventually step in and buy their own debt, and QE and rate cuts are coming. So they bought the dip regardless. Whereas Wall Street, a bit more cautious, believed all the headlines about recession, about Trump's tariffs. They bought into all that and sold. And it seems like it's actually institutions that are now FOMO buying into Bitcoin. And we've seen loads of Bitcoin companies get announced over the last couple of weeks, which is crazy given Bitcoin's now at 100k. But we'll take it. Total crypto market starting to get back up to kind of these highs around the 3.7 trillion. Not far away, to be fair, 300 billion. And I do think we'll get there very soon. The level of buying seems crazy from institutions. Michael Saylor bought more Bitcoin this week. I think he's also just announced a new fund of 2 billion or 2.5 billion to buy more Bitcoin. And right now, Bitcoin for me has been seen as a bit of a safety or a safe haven asset when stocks are dumping, bonds are absolutely getting crushed. Where else are you going to park your money? There's two places. One is obviously gold, which we've spoke about a lot on this channel. Made huge all-time high rally a couple of months ago, and then has went into a cool-off period. And we always said Bitcoin lags gold by normally between a month to 2 months, and now we're obviously seeing the profits from that, with Bitcoin now going into its rally. So it'll be interesting to see what gold does from here. I think it could just go sideways for maybe until kind of June, July time, maybe end of June, start of July. And I think that's probably when Bitcoin or crypto will make its local top. I think we'll see a bit of correction July time, and then we'll come back. Q4 2025 will be an insane time to be part of crypto. I think we'll see Bitcoin up at 200k. I think we'll see some huge all-time highs, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get some altcoin local highs breaching the December and March highs in the coming weeks. And this is what everybody's talking about. The yield on the government debt is surging to stupidly high rates, and that is posing a massive problem for the US government and the Japanese government and the British government and the European government, because they all have a massive debt problem, and this is what's going to fuel the biggest bull run we've ever seen, in my opinion. So everybody keeps asking, when are altcoins going to catch up? When are some of the small caps going to properly rally? When are we going to see Opulus, LimeWire, all these coins start to make local highs? So I've got a couple of interesting charts that we'll share. Hopefully they work out okay on the screen, because it's quite a zoomed out perspective. But if you look at this period here, in the 2020-21 bull run, Bitcoin went pretty much parabolic in the February, and then obviously peaked in April. Now if we look at total 3, which is the altcoin market minus Ethereum and Bitcoin, so it's everything other than Ethereum and Bitcoin, you can see it went parabolic, but it was about a month later. So you can see March the 1st kind of kick-started that slowly, and then all of a sudden it exploded. And actually you see the top was the 10th of May. If we look at the others chart, so this is altcoins minus the top 10. So every altcoin, so exclude XRP, Cardano, Solana, all the big altcoins. Then you can see this is kind of the area where it started ramping up, but then we had a correction. And then this would be where I would say the alt season properly kicked off. And that was March. And then again, it peaked even later in May. So this was the 10th of May. And then the highest candle was the 17th of May. So the one thing we know based on that is that alts lag Bitcoin by about a month, probably about 4 to 5 weeks. So for me, that is hugely bullish when we're looking at altcoins that, you know, we've got some altcoins that are up 7, 8, 9% just today alone. They're up massive percentages in the last few weeks. If we look at Solana was down around 96. It's now up at 179, so up 85%, and we're saying it's lagging Bitcoin by 4 or 5 weeks. That's hugely bullish for me. So alt season's coming, altcoin massive pumps are coming, but we just need to be patient. We need to let Bitcoin rally. We need to let Bitcoin do its thing, and then altcoins will take over, and we will see some crazy rallies, and we'll see some crazy numbers. Whether or not we see the top of the bull market in the next 2 months remains to be seen. For me, I think we're going to see something more like 2021, where we peak. My guess is somewhere around July, because that's when the Fed are probably going to cut rates. I think that could be a sell the news event. I think they probably are very negative on the state of the economy, and that's probably where we see some risk of a crash. Probably get some dump, consolidation, and probably Q4, as always, probably September into October, we start seeing markets come back with QE and lower rates, with the Fed stepping in to rescue the economy, which by then will be probably in tatters due to the massive debt issue that the US government has. That's one scenario. Second scenario is we just literally fly from here, and we peak probably around that July time, maybe August, and that's the peak of the bull run. For me, I'm probably 50-50, but if I had to pick a side, I'd pick scenario 1 with us peaking Q4, maybe even Q1 2026, and that would be the top of the cycle, and we will go into one of the worst bear markets anyone's ever experienced. I think a lot of altcoins will never come back from the 2026, 2027 bear market. So that's what I'm planning on right now. Obviously, you need to be flexible when you're investing. You need to be nimble. You need to be able to pivot your thesis. You can't just stick to one argument. So for now, I'm kind of 50-50. We'll play it over the next few weeks, see how high we get, see what happens, and yeah, I'll be extracting as much profit from the markets as possible. And ideally, you want to be out the market as soon as possible anyway. So if you hit your targets in June or July, it doesn't really matter what happens to the rest of the year, because you've made your targets. You can just sit back and watch the absolute chaos unfold from the comfort of hopefully a beach, but at least from the comfort of knowing that your funds are safe, your profits have been taken. Feel free to drop any questions in the chat. If you've got anything you want to cover, anything you want to ask, anything you want explained, drop it in the chat and I'll try and cover it tonight. We'll look at some charts. I'll flip through some charts in a second. We'll look at the Borg chart. We'll look at some other altcoins. But for me right now, the biggest message is just let Bitcoin do its thing. The alts will stay green as long as Bitcoin stay green, but Bitcoin dominance is going to stay strong until Bitcoin goes into that consolidation period, that accumulation phase at the top, and people start rotating profits out of the risk curve. One of the things I keep getting asked is why altcoins won't go as high. They're too low. They'll never rally. They'll never pump. And what everyone seems to forget is it's just human psychology. The reason majority of people are in crypto is chasing massive gains. So regardless of who you are, if you're in crypto, you're probably a bit of a degen, a bit of a gambler, a bit of a risk taker, especially if you're investing in crypto over the last 4 or 5 years. So what happens is people make really good money on Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum, XRP, maybe Solana, and then they just chase the returns, because what happens is they look down through the altcoins. So say you hold Solana, it goes to all-time high, you make a bunch of cash. All people do is they'll just scroll through CoinMarketCap, they'll look at coins, and they'll maybe say, well, this coin is, and I could pick any coin, I just picked this one. This coin's barely moved yet, so it's not pumped yet. It's bound to pump soon. So they just pour their profits into these coins. But a lot of people are doing the same thing at the same time. And then we just see this rotation of profits, but it doesn't take a lot of money to move small market cap coins. And then these coins fly, and then they just rinse and repeat and keep doing it. And it's just like a game of musical chairs. And they just keep doing it all the way down, and they just get riskier and riskier, chasing smaller and smaller market caps. And every time the profit pile grows means the coin pumps and absolutely flies. So that's all that happens. It's just total human psychology. It'll happen again this time. And if we look back, a lot of people are pointing out to Opulus to me that, it's a 20x back to like 40 cents, for example. But if you look at coins like Doge that were actually around in the last bull market, they went up like crazy gains. From the bottom, 23,000%. No one in their wildest imagination would have thought that was possible back in 2021. And Doge, okay, some will say, well, that's a meme coin. But you look at some other coins, you know, you had VeChain from the bottom, 13,000%. So obviously we had a lot less coins, so there's a lot less data to use, but it doesn't take a lot of profit. Market cap's higher now. There's more people in crypto, and with a pro-crypto president, pro-crypto media now, everybody's starting to get on board. We'll see more and more people enter crypto, and they'll chase risk. They'll chase gains. They're not going to be buying Cardano. They're not going to be buying Polkadot. They're not going to be buying these legacy coins. They're going to be buying the riskiest cryptos in order to see the most gains, because that's what we all did. So yeah, don't lose faith. Don't start writing off things just because they've not ran yet, or they're not as high as you thought they would be by now, because it's all perception. Lewis has a couple of questions. Does Quantoshi do its thing in a bear trend as well as sideways and up? Sig mentioned in the video, the only time you should tamper with it when you know the bear market is coming. I'm not sure that's what he said. I think they've got, so basically Quantoshi have a number of different strategies. They have sideways, up and down. That's the three strategies they have. We've seen over the last few weeks, we've seen sideways, we've seen up obviously, and they have backtested the downtrend. So the idea behind Quantoshi is that we can make money in every market, hands off, completely without touching the trading, without touching any trades. You just put money in and you let them trade. The benefit of having something like this is, over the last few weeks or few months since Christmas, altcoins have traded sideways and down, so nobody's made any money on their altcoin bags. But at the same time, nobody wants to take profit when they're only up 2, 3%, 5%, 10%, or even down. So you can't make money holding altcoins during sideways and down markets. Quantoshi allows you to make money aside from that. And to be fair, I actually do have Quantoshi to cover tonight, so we'll just jump to Quantoshi now. So as you can see, highest copiers P&L, Quantoshi CC Steady now up at 68%. Huge last few weeks, but actually the biggest benefit of it is the all-time, you know, this goes back to the 18th of February. For me, the biggest selling factor for Quantoshi is the fact that even when we faced the biggest liquidation event in crypto, one of the biggest liquidation events in the stock market in recent years, Quantoshi still made money. We still ended up profitable. And if you zoom out, here's starting in February, we are now up a massive 72% win rate. We are up almost 88%, and annualized that is 340%. And for me, the biggest thing is this market has way to go yet, and we're seeing huge gains. I think one thing I would say is you have to be very disciplined with things. So if you're not in CC Pro, you should be. But if you are in CC Pro, you'll have seen Dex post about taking profit on Quantoshi. We put 20k into an account to try and make 2k per month. 10% passive income per month. Bear in mind, the average bank account probably gives you 3% per year. We're talking about 10% per month. There is literally no other asset on the planet where you can get those types of gains. So we set out to do that. In the first month of doing it, we've made 8k. But you have to be disciplined. You have to understand that there's going to be months where we might only make $1,000. It's probably unlikely because the bot is so efficient and so successful. But if there is that month, people need to be patient and understand, yeah, but I made 8k last month. You have to look at it in a zoomed out perspective. You have to look at it in an annualized perspective to actually appreciate something like this. And after month one, we're up 8k from a 20k pot. Even if the bot returns 0% over the next 11 months, it still outperforms every other asset on the planet probably by at least 4x. So yeah, Quantoshi, if you've not signed up or you're not in it or you don't know about it, we have a video on it, we've got an interview with the founders, and we've got tutorials on it as well. So check it out. Passive income, completely hands off, don't touch it. That's the biggest thing. People keep asking me, are you taking profit, are you closing trades? No, the whole point is you don't touch it. You just let them do their thing. If you see a big red candle, just chill. They know what they're doing, and they've proved it time and time again, even during the biggest liquidation event in crypto. So don't interfere with the trades, just leave it, and yeah, collect some profit. Now you've got two options with profit. You can either withdraw the profit every month, which is what we did. We put 20k in, we got 28k, took 8k out, left it at 20k, or you can let it compound. So the way it works is it uses your entire trading balance for making trades. It doesn't put it all on the trades, it just uses the balance for the trades. So the bigger the balance, the bigger size positions, the more profit. So you can let it compound, and over time obviously the pot will grow. But we've decided we're going to keep ours at 20k, we're going to skim profits once a month, and that's how we're going to use the bot. So for other people, maybe they want to put 5k in, for example, let it compound till they get to 10 or 20k, and then start taking profit. Or you might just want to take the profit out once a month, or whenever you feel fit. There's loads of different ways to play it, but it's passive, it's hands off, it's very, very profitable, and you can see all their data as well. So if you ever want to come on Quantoshi and just check it out, it shows you everything here. It shows you their trades, profit and loss. You can see the percentage. So they trade Bitcoin predominantly, but there's an Ethereum grid bot, which will take trades, especially when Bitcoin goes into consolidation. And yeah, you can see anything you want. There's a couple of trades open right now. Bitcoin currently in $5,000 unrealized profit. Obviously entered at 105. We're now up at 111k, and Ethereum's just got started, just down $6. So, a couple of questions. Can you cover near and dot? Polkadot, to be fair, somebody put in the chat room in CC Pro today that Polkadot looked pretty nice. It does on the weekly, printing quite a nice bullish candle. Obviously back off this kind of high here. If you draw a line, you can see that it's bounced nicely just off here, which was resistance and then resistance here. So yeah, looks pretty nice. It needs to regain the 200 MA. Obviously it's got a bit more room to go, so you're seeing some of the bigger alts start to bump into the 200 MA. Polkadot's not there yet, but I think for me it's just about being patient with the altcoin market, and most of the charts are going to look similar. Look at Chainlink. This was just a random coin I picked. Let's choose Atom. Look, they're all the same. The altcoin market is all so condensed, it's so concentrated, it's so correlated right now that we've got a few front runners like Solana, Cardano. I think BNB is kind of leading, but there's a few that are at their 200 MA, and then the rest of the market's just lagging behind. And it's literally, this is a pure visualization of the rotation of profits. You've got Bitcoin running away, you've got the big alts like Ethereum and Solana at their 200 MA, and then you've got smaller alts not even at their 200 MA yet. It's just, that's the way the market works. So yeah, we could look at loads of charts. I'm happy to look at near, it's on here somewhere. Here we go. Yeah, look, they all look the same. To be fair, there is almost like a head and shoulders type pattern forming on a lot of these alts. So it's a bit rough, obviously. But you could say something like that was kind of in play. Just down there. Kind of. And you're seeing that across the board. If we put it on the daily, it might be a bit better. So yeah, I think we'll see that broadening out the market coming in the next few days. But I think we need to just let Bitcoin absolutely rip higher first. It would be nice if we got some positive news about stablecoins or the SEC, and that would probably be the catalyst for that broadening out of the market. Yeah, I think people are underestimating crypto. They're underestimating what the top side potential targets are. So let me show you something. So this is what's funny. I find this quite funny, and this isn't. This is just maybe people haven't paid too much attention to charts, but you should look at charts. You should jump on TraderView. You should look at charts because it'll tell the story. But if we look at XRP, so everybody is quite happy accepting that XRP is going to go from here. It's going to go up to let's just pick $6, right? Nice and easy. So everybody's quite happy to accept that XRP will go up 146% from here to $6, which means that the market cap on XRP will go up about $150 billion. Everybody just accepts that XRP's market cap's going to double to $300 billion. Solana's market cap's probably going to double. All that money, all that capital, when people start taking profits, especially XRP that they've been investing down here for years, that all that money has to flow somewhere. So for me, I wouldn't write off a lot of coins. Like, there's very few coins that I look at and say you will never make an all-time high. There's certain things like I think it's ICP, which is the most inflationary coin I've ever seen. It's literally ridiculous how much they've increased the supply. There's a good argument it'll never make an all-time high. But things like Algorand, I don't see why it wouldn't, based on how much capital I think is coming out of this market. During COVID, I think the US government printed something like between $5 and $7 trillion during COVID. The next round of QE between the US and China, they're talking about $40 trillion in QE. That is an absurd amount of money. If that amount of money hits markets, you're going to see record highs in every single asset. Houses will go through the roof. They're literally on the brink of debasing every single fiat currency dramatically to try and fix the debt issue. And the only way they can do it is devalue the currency. So even if they get 20 trillion, it's still 3 times the amount of COVID stimulus. That's what gold is telling the markets. That's what Bitcoin is now telling the markets. The governments of the world are insolvent. They're bankrupt. There is just no way out of this. So I think, like I said at the start, the altcoin market seems about 5 weeks behind Bitcoin. So yeah, if we could fast forward 5 weeks, we see where we are with altcoins. I think the total 2, total 3 will all be getting up closer to all-time highs, or at least local highs from December and March last year. And then from there, I think we'll see some epic rallies. Yeah, Syscoin, so to be fair, it's put in a new low. It looks like it's bouncing. It looks weirdly similar to Ethereum in some regards. But yeah, again, I'm not sure what happened to Syscoin because I think it got delisted on a few places. So that might have impacted it. But for me, yeah, it's just going to be probably in the others basket where it's even further behind, maybe 5-6 weeks behind. The other thing everybody has to remember is like Bitcoin is at all-time high, but everything else has still got miles to go. Ethereum needs to double, basically. XRP is not even back to its December high. Still got a fair bit to go. A full dollar. That's a massive move. Solana, over $100, back to just its local high. So there's a lot of room to grow for this altcoin market. You know, Doge hasn't taken out. Is that the March? No, that's December. Dogecoin. And one of the things I've said before as well is like we've not even got any of the catalysts yet. We've not got any crypto ETFs. We've not got any real pro crypto regulation actually in place. We've just got loads of hot air, people talking about it, politicians talking about it. We've not got the stablecoin legislation. We've not got banks actually custodying Bitcoin. We've not got any of this stuff we were promised. We've just got more promises of it and more talk of policy. What is the implications of the 72 ETFs that are waiting to be approved? If they all get approved, what impact does that have on the crypto market? It's, for me, I think it's actually too hard to imagine the gains that are potential in this market. And I think that's why people kind of downplay what they think. But for me, just need to wait it out. Do you think the gaming narrative will come back? Yeah, of course. The gaming narrative will definitely come back. We'll see a DeFi narrative. We saw DeFi summer back in 2021. It was huge. We'll definitely see DeFi have a massive rally because DeFi seems to be a really hot topic right now. And then DeFi with AI seems to be a big one. DEX tokens, they're going to have an amazing bull run because, as I said to somebody the other day, AI agents will start trading for people. People will create AI agents that have set algorithms for themselves and they'll trade and they're going to use DEXs. So Uniswap, SushiSwap, PancakeSwap, Jupiter, all these DEX tokens will do amazing. And then we'll see a gaming narrative because for whatever people say, if somebody, whoever cracks Web3 gaming will be a billionaire because gaming should be the easiest way to onboard crypto people or people to crypto because they don't need a lot of money. They can make money for playing games, which is like the easiest thing to get people to do. And it should be easy. The problem is that most people are building crap games and they're not actually committed to onboarding Web 2 and they focus too much on the crypto people. The challenge with Web3 gaming is they need to go after Web 2 people. They need to go after people that don't care about crypto and make them play games and earn money without even understanding blockchain, wallets, on-ramps. Like, it needs to be so much easier. But yeah, 100% we'll see the gaming narrative come back. There's some big players in the space that are throwing a lot of money at Web3 gaming, and I think it'll definitely be a big theme. And then you've got like AI tokens; they'll be a theme. With the crypto bull run, you normally see certain cohorts of tokens do really well at certain times, and I think that'll happen the same again this time. I don't think it's just going to be one massive market-wide pump. It just doesn't work like that. Have you heard of BloFin? No, I've not. But every day there's another 10,000 coins created, so it doesn't surprise me, to be honest. Top targets, I mean, we've spoke about Borg before. Easily going to do some massive gains once this market broadens out. I saw somebody put some crazy targets on Twitter. I think $3 is a realistic target. We'll definitely break all-time high. So from here, it's a 10x. I could see that happening. Flame, yeah, like Flame is a launchpad, or Firestarter is a launchpad, and launchpads have been absolutely killed recently. And the reason they've been killed is because people woke up to the fact that most launchpads were just launching tokens that had zero promise, zero community, zero real users. So things like Firestarter, you see loads of launchpads. I actually did this the other day. So there's a launchpad called Seedify, and if you look at the last 10 launches they did, every single one is down more than 70% within a month of launching. That the market's just so fragile. There's no capital. People aren't buying these new tokens that are just promising one day they'll do something. So launchpads have been absolutely killed. Not necessarily always because of their fault, but mostly because founders in crypto are terrible and there's no retail users. So how do you build a product aimed at retail when retail isn't paying attention to crypto? So yeah, I think launchpads are probably the easiest one to show if there's liquidity and interest in the crypto space, because when crypto's flying, launchpads will be launching tokens every single day. And if you look at the top launchpads like Seedify, Fjord, platforms like that, they've not done a launch in like 6 weeks because there's nobody buying these tokens yet. There's no capital and there's no real investment appetite. Even I was speaking to somebody that runs a VC firm in crypto, and he's paid off 40% of his staff because there's no interest in investing right now. Obviously, that's going to turn with Bitcoin making all-time highs, but over the last 6 months, crypto's been dead. Sentiment's been the worst ever, and a launchpad's probably the last place people have been looking for profitable projects. So yeah, still bullish on it. Yeah, sound like I'm repeating myself, but it's just patience. Cami, do you think? Yeah, GTA 6. Well, to be fair, if it ever actually launches, yeah, it could be. So it's difficult. Gaming is a bit like the banking sector. They don't want Web3, just like the banking sector don't want crypto, because the more people that spend money, if you think of it this way, if you earn money in Web3 gaming, you can extract that money and you can go and take it and spend it elsewhere. If you look at games like FIFA and all these other games, what's the kids want, Fortnite and stuff like that, everything you spend in game is locked in game. You can't do anything with it. You can't get your money back. You can't take cash out the game. That's a great revenue source for most of these gaming companies. They probably make more on the sell-ups after the game than selling the game themselves. So they do not want crypto. They do not want Web3. The only difference with GTA is I do think there is that sense of, well, you earn money in the game, you can buy stuff in the game, there's an in-game economy. Wouldn't it be cool if it was actually real cash and you could actually extract some value for the game? I definitely think that would be some kind of Trojan horse into Web3 gaming. And I also think, I've not played computer games in years, but I remember playing GTA back in the day, and you literally spend hours on it. It almost became like a metaverse because you knew what streets you were on. Like, it was crazy how it took over people's lives. So I do think that could be a Trojan horse type catalyst event for Web3 gaming. So yeah, I think that could be a shout. Anthony, do you expect some of the stronger alts to break all-time high? I expect a lot of alts to break December highs very soon. I think the ones I would be watching is XRP, Solana, and I don't know if I've got it on this chart, but Sui seems to be quite a front runner as well. This was January, so it put in the high in January, and bounced really nicely. So yeah, I'd say Solana's probably the front runner. It has been since down here, January 2023, when it was at like $8. But right now, Bitcoin's still on the show. Bitcoin dominance is the only chart you need to pay attention to, because once it starts cracking properly and dumping, like these little pullbacks are just pullbacks. This is what we want to see. And if you look, I showed the chart earlier where the altcoin market and the others chart actually started rallying in 2021, and it was around March time. And if you actually look, this was March, and then we went massively down in just, what's that, 8 weeks, we dropped 35% in dominance. So that's kind of what you want. Dominance is the key chart right now, and if we do start seeing some consolidation, a bit of dumping, then a bit of consolidation, then we finally fall over the cliff, that's when the proper alt season goes crazy. And I do think we'll get back down to these levels here, around the 40% mark. But breaking this orange line's kind of been my line that I'm watching. And this is where we could see some consolidation. There's a lot of support and resistance in here. So even if we just extend that, once we get through that, then alts will be screaming high and there'll be crazy rallies. Leonardo, great question. So all you need to do is create a new account with our affiliate link. It's non-KYC, so creating a new link is super easy. All you do is click our link, which is in the description of this stream, and it's on all our videos, and it's on CC Pro, and it's on our Instagram. All you need to do is create an account using that link. You don't need to give any ID, so all you need is an email address, and you can deposit straight away. So yeah, that's how you fix it. Nice and easy. So I've spoke about Opulus already, so I'm not entirely sure what else I can cover. I think if you look at it, it's bounced from its lows, looks pretty bullish on the weekly. I'd like us to reclaim this orange line at 4 cents, and then from there, these alts will take off really quickly once the market starts to broaden out and we see that capital rotation, but it's not going to happen. I mean, we might see big pumps in certain coins depending on narrative shifts or hype or whatever, but the real alt season is not going to happen for another few weeks. Bitcoin is literally just cracking all-time highs. It's going to go into price discovery, then it'll cool off, it'll consolidate, and that's when we'll see the proper alt season. For that, that's what I'm saying. Watch Bitcoin dominance, watch Solana, maybe XRP, although it kind of runs on its own timeline, and then obviously Ethereum. Once Ethereum goes to all-time high, then it's going to be huge for alts. But yeah, exciting times. Bitcoin at all-time high, 111k, and no one cares. Like literally no one cares. Everybody still thinks we're going to a recession. Everybody's talking about tariffs. Everybody's talking about just crazy stuff in the global economy. No one is paying attention to Bitcoin, and the longer it stays like that, the higher and longer Bitcoin probably goes, which is extremely bullish. The other bullish thing for me right now is every day we seem to wake up to another bullish headline, another company adopting Bitcoin and things like that. It's just constant buy pressure, and every day there's headlines of the absolute disaster, which is the global economy. And I think it might be too simplistic to say this, but people are waking up to the fact that Bitcoin sits out the traditional financial system. So when banks collapse, Bitcoin does well. When wars kick off, Bitcoin does well. we're now seeing the bond market go into absolute chaos. Bitcoin does well because people need something outside of the traditional financial system. That's why gold's done well over the last few months, and Bitcoin is now absolutely tearing away because people want somewhere outside of traditional stocks and bonds. And this is what everybody's talking about, the Japanese yield about to break to the 2008 level. But if you go around the world, you can see it's all chaos. Canada, Germany, Britain, obviously, Italy, Japan's chaos, and then you've got the US 10-year at 4.5%. This number needs to come down because they've got $8 trillion worth of debt to refinance, and they need it refinancing below probably 3.5% at the highest rate, and right now we're at 4.5%, so a lot of work to do. Yes, Connor, all-time high for Borg, 2025. Alright, well that is us for tonight. 111k Bitcoin. I think we touched 112 earlier today. Bitcoin's going to continue to show strength, in my opinion. I think we'll eventually get a cool off for a couple of days. We'll let some altcoins rally. But I think Bitcoin's going much, much higher. I think 115k will come very soon. And then we might get as high as 125k before we see a proper alt season. 45 weeks delay, looking at the charts from 2021. Looks like the right time frame. So exciting time. We're going into an amazing period, and I just wanted to make a shout out as well. So if you're not in CC Pro, you are missing out on amazing advice, if I do say so myself. We called the bottom at 43k. We called the bottom at 74k. We told everybody to stay strong. We told everybody it was chaos and it was just noise. The headlines were nonsense, and we were right. And we're not saying that to gloat. We're saying it because we believe the CC Pro members are on the verge of making absolute life-changing gains. And to be honest, they all deserve it because they've stuck firm, they've stayed patient, and they've stayed convicted when it's been one of the worst markets I have ever saw or experienced. So everybody in CC Pro, shout out. You all deserve what is coming over the next few weeks. If you're not in CC Pro and you're not in Quantoshi, you obviously don't like money, which is fair enough. But that's all for tonight. Thank you very much. I'll be back over the next few days. Another video to drop this weekend, and probably some more live streams as we see some new all-time highs across the market. Catch you all later.